After doing my recent episodes of turning things into xenomorphs from the Alien franchise, a bunch of my subscribers started asking me to work with predators as well. Felt like a natural follow-up. So I thought I'd go with an idea that a subscriber of mine has actually been asking for a while. Logan Lefebvre has suggested famous superheroes as predators. I think it's a great idea and feels like the perfect time to do it because I really like the idea of a Black Panther predator, and Wakanda Forever just came out this weekend. So let's give this a shot. Let's go. Hit like if you want, subscribe if you feel like, but either way, enjoy the show. The Yautja are an ancient alien race that above all else value the skills of the hunt. They travel the galaxy looking for the most ruthless adversaries to combat and kill, taking trophies from all they slay. In their culture, there are many myths and legends of the most ruthless and powerful predators from their vast history, and whether the tales are true or not, they help inspire future generations to push themselves to be greater hunters. One tale that is generally accepted as true is that of the great hunter Alikar, more commonly called the Verdant Impaler. He was a predator who set off for a small moon known to be a hideaway for vicious space pirate brigades, as well as home to a wide array of vicious creatures. He intended to only spend a week there, but his ship was raided and destroyed by a group of outlaws, and soon he was left with nothing save the armor on his back. After forging himself a bow and arrows from the limited materials available on the moon's forests, he proceeded to hunt down and kill every single being that had taken his equipment. Though to strike further fear into them, he didn't even use the equipment he regained, simply sticking with the bow he'd forged himself. Unfortunately, the last of the band saw his allies being picked off, and in response sabotaged and destroyed all their ships, save for the one he fled the planet with, leaving Alikar trapped. He remained on that moon for 5 years, but simply used the time to continue honing his hunting skills, taking out every creature that could provide a significant challenge. Eventually, another pirate band came to hide away, and the Verdant Impaler quickly slayed them all with his arrows, took their vessel, and returned to the homeworld of Yautja Prime to tell of his experiences. Thereafter, he'd go on to hunt creatures from across the galaxy, many long thought to be too dangerous for even a Yautja to hunt, all while only using his bows and arrows, though he did significantly upgrade them with Yautja technology after leaving the moon. His legacy lives on to this day, teaching others of his kind that no matter how limited your resources are, if you yourself are resourceful, you can still face whatever threats come your way. Now, going into this episode, I wasn't actually sure how I was going to do the lore. I was thinking something in the same vein as the old Marvel Mandalorians episodes or Superheroes as Mandalorians episodes, which is what Logan Lefebvre had suggested I base this series kind of off of. And I like that idea, and I guess I kind of do go that route, but making them sort of like mythology tales within the predator species felt like a really fun angle, and I actually really enjoyed writing these. It kind of made me want to do a famous superheroes or something as Greek gods or Norse gods or just mythological tales, which I guess I've done something like that with my One Piece episode from last year, but I think revisiting that could be kind of fun. Anyway, this drawing, and admittedly all the drawings in this episode, I did have a lot of struggles with. I was feeling a little bit off my game. This one, you can tell at parts I really mess around with the pose a whole bunch of times. At points it just wasn't feeling quite aggressive enough. Like a predator is really like attack. I mean, they have a lot of stealth to them, but it just, my pose felt a little bit too light, and I wanted something that was really coming at us. So when I finally figured the angle of him shooting the arrow at us and doing a flying kick sort of towards us, or off to the side towards us, that really felt like it was getting more impact than the pose ideas I'd had earlier in the recording. Also, the reason I went with Green Arrow for this episode is partially because one of our awesome longtime mods of the PopCross HQ Discord, ArrowCat, has wanted me to do something with Green Arrow for ages, and it is overdue. I don't know why I haven't. I really like Green Arrow as well. The first 3 or 4 seasons of Arrow when it was coming out, I was watching it very regularly, and I really loved it, even though I fell out of it eventually. And as someone who shoots archery myself, even though I'm not great at it or anything, I just do some target practice with my recurve bow. I really like getting to draw a character with a cool bow and arrow. Even though that's a kind of weapon that used to give me a lot of problems, they are a little bit of an awkward shape to figure out, and even in this I struggled with it a little bit. But I do really feel like I got it eventually. And I hope you all agree. Let's take a look. Yautja legends also tell of a lineage of hunters known as the Obsidian Panthers. In a time before the Yautja had developed much of their most incredible weaponry and technology, those who lived in the hidden city of Yautja thrived with equipment that would rival the tech found across the planet to this day. The most respected hunter of each generation would be granted a helmet and suit of armor of immense might, built within it the best weaponry the city could provide. This hunter would take on the title of Obsidian Panther. One of the most revered of this lineage was a Yautja named Yautja. He was greatly respected by his people, protected their lands with diligence on occasions when outsiders would come to try and steal their resources, and of course was a legendary hunter. Unfortunately, his reign was a short one, as he eventually grew ill with an ailment his people knew nothing of and could not treat, despite his sister's greatest efforts. Shuri built much of the most impressive technology and weaponry used by her people, but she was unable to use it to save her brother. Upon his death, the mantle of Obsidian Panther was open to whoever could claim it in combat as the greatest hunter in the city. There would be a tournament held on the waterfalls at Yautja's edge for the role, and while still in mourning over her brother's death, Shuri was determined to win the role for herself. Her brother had always told her that he believed she should go out on the hunt and use her incredible technology for herself. She knew how to use it better than anyone else, and he believed with it she could best prey beyond that of even the most physically powerful Yautja in the city. See, Shuri was very small and thin by her kind's standards, and was more comfortable building weaponry for others. But with her brother's passing, she felt compelled to at least try for the life he'd imagined for her. She donned her own armor with a wide array of weaponry, unlike anything she'd granted to others before, and she entered the tournament for the Obsidian Mantle. No other competitors were much concerned with her presence, and underestimated what Shuri could do with her equipment. And that was a grave mistake for them all. One by one, Shuri slayed her rivals. It was far from easy, as those she fought had years of experience on the hunt, but the more she was challenged and the more she overcame, the more Shuri realized how much of a thrill she gained from the hunt. Soon enough, she was the only contestant remaining, and as such had earned the mantle of the Obsidian Panther. Shuri's story is used as a reminder that no matter your size, you can find a way to best your opponents so long as you are driven enough to do so. Now with this one, even though I made most of this video last week, I waited till after I saw Black Panther Wakanda Forever to write the lore for this, thinking there might be something in it that inspired an interesting Predator story. It didn't really shake out that way. I really loved the movie, but, it didn't really give me any Predator kind of prompts. So this is one where I probably altered her story more than some of the other ones, but I still feel like I worked in enough elements of Black Panther and Predator to make it a fun story blend. In terms of the design, partway through I end up realizing that it's not looking quite enough like a blend of Black Panther and Predator, so this ends up being one of those drawings that I do occasionally where I end up having two different versions of it. Sometimes that'll be two different color schemes for a character. With this one, what I end up doing is at the end, I go in and I add the Predator dreadlocks, which I had been leaving out, but I do think they add a nice element of Predator design to this. It was leaning a little bit too much into just being a slightly altered Black Panther, I felt. Interestingly enough, when I add in the dreadlocks, it kind of emphasizes that the head is in a little bit of a wonky position. Not too bad, it just feels like the head is a little bit too sunk down. So I don't totally know which one I end up liking better. I'll show both versions at the end with the dreadlocks and without, and I'll put both up on my Teespring store as posters. By the way, I won't do a mid-video break saying, hey, these are all the drawings from this are up as posters on my Teespring store. Just, I'm saying that now. They'll be linked in the description. But I'm curious to see what you all think, which one you like better. As a drawing, I think I might lean towards the one without dreadlocks, but as a fusion of the two types of characters, I think the one with them might be a little bit more successful. Anyway, I hope either way, if you like one or the other better, you like the result, and let's take a look. The final tale for today is a cautionary one for the Yautja. It is a story thought by most to be purely fictitious due to the fantastical nature of the hunter, but some do believe it to be fact. It tells of a Yautja named Sayat Aman, who was obsessed with becoming a hunter for the pure joy of the hunt. This of course was not uncommon, but the training he underwent was. You see, instead of prepping a reasonable amount, then going off to learn further on his first hunt, Sayat spent years doing the same repetitive training over and over and over again, wanting to be the absolute best hunter possible before he even set off on his first hunt. The tales go that he trained so long and so hard that he gained immeasurable speed and strength. He became so mighty that he didn't even require weapons, and the armor he wore was light and barely did anything to protect him. He even decided to dress in bright yellow and red coloring to blatantly alert his prey to his presence, rejecting the use of his species' commonly equipped cloaking mechanics. With his might so enhanced, he deemed stealth to be an unnecessary asset to his quests. And he was, unfortunately, correct. You see, when he did finally go out on a hunt years after beginning his training, he'd become multitudes stronger than any Yautja before, and he completed his first mission in a matter of minutes. He went out on another to seek a tougher, more lethal beast, and still, he was successful within seconds of finding his prey. This went on, and Sayat soon realized he'd overprepared so much, become so powerful, that the hunt was simply boring for him. He kept seeking stronger and stronger prey, but never did he find a creature that was able to give him the genuine challenge he sought. Sayat Aman's tale is used to warn Yautja young of overtraining before their first hunts. Preparing is heavily encouraged, of course, but the purpose of the hunt is to challenge you. If you keep training and training in the safety of the homeworld, you'll never genuinely gain the true mental growth of overcoming prey that is stronger than yourself. Sayat robbed himself of the true joy of the hunt in a way that all Yautja are now cautious of doing themselves. Now, to be totally honest, I'm still torn as to whether or not doing a One Punch Man Predator was a good idea or not, because I didn't go into this one with any great or special ideas for the visual design, but as I was going through different concepts for what other superhero I could do that wasn't Marvel or DC, because I wanted another franchise worked into this, I was going to do Bakugo from My Hero Academia, because I think visually a Bakugo Predator would look super cool. But when I ran through the idea of One Punch Man and just thought of a predator that was so good at hunting that the hunt was boring for them, I thought that was just such a goofy, funny, well-fitting translation of One Punch Man's story into being a predator that I just couldn't resist, so I went with it, even though the design ideas weren't anything special. It was a good excuse to do a predator without a helmet on, because if this, as mentioned in the lore, if the character is so powerful, he doesn't need much armor, he wouldn't wear a helmet. I do think I probably should have exaggerated the mandibles and the teeth more on this. It was my first time drawing a predator head not behind a mask. I mean, I guess I kind of did one back when I turned Predator into a dragon years and years ago, but that was an adapted Predator head, not just an outright Predator head. Also, for the background environment for this one, I was taking some inspiration from images of Yautja Prime, the Predator homeworld. From the images I saw, they've got like a lot of pyramid-shaped buildings and stuff like that. Of course, that's just kind of a small element, but I thought it would be a fun thing to work in there. And yeah, in my head, I can still picture a really cool Bakugo Predator, so you know, maybe this ends up getting another episode and I do that eventually, but the story for this one I felt was such a goofy, fitting concept, and I hope you all agreed and enjoyed both the story and how the design turns out. Let's take a look at the finished result. Alright, so I wouldn't call this as successful as the Xenomorph episodes, but I'm definitely open to trying it again, so give me more suggestions in the comments of what else you'd like to see turned into Predators. Also, if you enjoyed this, I'd highly recommend checking out the Xenomorph episodes. Or if you do want more Predator, I did one in the second episode of famous horror movie characters as Marvel superheroes. That's a very fun episode as well. But besides that, that's all for today, except of course for ending this video on some kind of positive or inspiring note, and the thought I want to leave people with today is the idea that life is an echo. What you give out you get back. If you're loving and kind and accepting of other people, it may not come back to you immediately, but eventually that will be what predominantly fills your life. I hope that's encouraging to someone out there. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode on Friday, where, as voted on by all of you, I'm finally going back to Transformers with some Pokemon Beast Wars. I'll see you there. Goodbye.